Naturally, the new management team struggled over the next 18 months or so. We diagnosed why in the same way an engineer would diagnose why a machine is operating suboptimally, so it could be re-engineered to perform better. Since different people produce different outcomes based on differences in what they are like, whenever we create a team to seek to engineer the right mix of attributes and people to achieve our goals. So we looked at my attributes relative to others to see what was missing, which we call the RAID gap. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well. And we are ready for some more reading. So, Ray Dalio's Principles, which has been really interesting so far. If you missed the beginning of the book, you can watch that. We have them all recorded on our YouTube channel, The Passive Cash Flow Club. But for now, let's get into the last day of the week and do some more reading. And we are up to a section called Learning What Shapers Are Like. Okay, here we go. So we were talking about how Ray Dalio hires people and fires people, and how he retains his talent and what kind of people he looks for. And today we're going to talk about learning what shapers are like. He's just handed over the company, and he's been looking at how he can use that team that he's created to now transition it across so that he doesn't have to be there anymore. And he's decided that he's going to be a bit of a mentor to the company. Naturally, the new management team struggled over the next 18 months or so. We diagnosed why in the same way an engineer would diagnose why a machine is operating suboptimally, so it could be re-engineered to perform better. Since different people produce different outcomes based on differences in what they are like, whenever we create a team to seek to engineer the right mix of attributes and people to achieve our goals. So we looked at my attributes relative to others to see what was missing, which we call the RAID gap. To be clear, we were looking at the RAID gap because I was the one leaving. Had Bob, David, or Greg been the one stepping back, we would have been studying the gaps they left. Greg and David created a log of my various responsibilities and the differences between the qualities they and I brought to handling them. Everyone agreed the gap was what we called shaping. To visualize what I mean by shaping and shapers, think of Steve Jobs, who was probably the greatest and most iconic shaper of our time, as measured by the size and success of his shaping. A shaper is someone who comes up with unique and valuable visions and builds them out beautifully, typically over the doubts and opposition of others. Jobs built the world's largest and most successful company by revolutionizing computing, music, communications, animations, and photography with beautifully designed products. Elon Musk of Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and Reed Hastings of Netflix are other great shapers from the business world. In philanthropy, Mohammed Yunus of Grameen, Jeffrey Canada of Harlan Children's Zone, and Wendy Kopp of Teach for America come to mind. And in government, Winston Churchill, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Lee Kuan Yew, and Deng Xiaoping. Bill Gates has been a shaper in both business and philanthropy, as was Andrew Carnegie. Mike Bloomberg has been a shaper in business, philanthropy, and government. Einstein, Freud, Darwin, and Newton were great shapers in the sciences. Christ, Muhammad, and the Buddha were religious shapers. They all had original visions excuse me, and successfully built them out. While these are the biggest shapers, I saw that shapers come in varying sizes. You probably know a few personally. They might be your local business, nonprofit, or community leaders, the people who drive change and build lasting organizations. My objective was to identify who the shapers and the future shapers of Bridgewater would be, either by helping the people who were replacing me in the CEO job become them, or by finding shapers on the outside and bringing them in. So I'm still not completely clear on what a shaper is. I'm assuming that it's a visionary. It's somebody who is willing to take their ideas and implement them when the idea is a little bit out of the box. Let's keep reading and we'll find out. On October 5th, 2011, a few months after I began to think about what makes a shaper, Steve Jobs died. I wrote about him in our daily observation. one of the few times I had used the space to address non-investment related content, because I admired him as a man who could visualize and execute in breathtakingly wonderful ways. Soon after, Walter Isaacson published his biography of Jobs. I noticed a number of similarities between us, especially when he quoted Jobs' own words. Soon after that, an article titled, "Is Ray Dalio the Steve Jobs of Investing?" came out in AICIO, a prominent investment industry publication. It also pointed out a number of similarities between us, that I, like Jobs, started my business from scratch, his from a garage, mine from the second bedroom of my apartment, that we both came up with innovative products that reshaped how our industry did things, and that we had unique management styles. Bridgewater has often been called the Apple of the investment world, but to be clear, I don't think that Bridgewater I held a candle to Apple and Jobs. Isaacson's book and the article pointing to other parallels in our backgrounds, goals, and approaches to shaping. For example, we both were rebellious, independent thinkers who worked relentlessly for innovation and excellence. We were both mediators who wanted to put a dent in the universe, and we were both notoriously tough on people. Even though, from what I've read so far, Ray Dalio was a little bit less tough on people than Steve Jobs was. But who knows? Because when you watch a video of Steve Jobs, it was from a third-person perspective, whereas in this case, this is a first-person perspective look at Ray Dalio. So maybe he is sugarcoating his toughness a little bit in the book. Of course, there were important differences too. I wish Jobs had shared the principle he had used to achieve his goals. I wasn't just interested in Jobs and his principles. I wanted to know about the qualities and principles of all shapers, so I could better understand the likenesses and differences between them and form an archetype of the typical shaper. I had followed that approach for understanding everything. For example, I had made an exhaustive study of recessions so that I could form a timeless picture of an archetypal recession and then understand the differences among them. I did that for all economic and market movements, and was inclined to do it for just about everything, because this approach helps me understand how things work. So it made sense. I do that to understand shapers too. Great way of looking at it. So whenever you have a way of doing something, you can very often use it and apply it to other things as well. I started by exploring the qualities of Jobs and other shapers with Isaacson. At first, in a private conversation in his office, and later at a public forum at Bridgewater. Since Isaacson had also written biographies of Albert Einstein and Ben Franklin, two other great shapers, I read them and probed him about them to try to glean what characteristics they had in common. Then I spoke with proven shapers I knew: Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Reed Hastings, Mohammed Yunus, Jeffrey Canada, Jack Dorsey of Twitter, David Kelly of IDEO, and more. They had all visualized remarkable concepts and built organizations to actualize them, and done that repeatedly and over long periods of time. I asked them to take an hour's worth of personality assessments to discover their values, abilities, and approaches. While not perfect, these assessments have been invaluable. In fact, I have been adapting and refining them to help us in our recruiting and management. The answers these shapers provided to the standardized questions gave me objective and statistically measurable evidence about their similarities and differences. And I'm just going to quickly write down an idea. One thing that I would definitely recommend is that when you are with me and I am reading for you, if you have any ideas or thoughts, definitely make sure you write them down, because I just had an idea of something that I want to start implementing. And yes, make sure that you do the same. So I was thinking of the personality testing and looking at more ways to implement that with everything that I do. Okay, so, while not perfect, these assessments have been invaluable. In fact, I've been adapting and refining them to help us in our recruitment and management. The answers these shapers provided to the standardized questions gave me objective and statistically measurable evidence about their similarities and differences. It turns out they have a lot in common. They are all independent thinkers who do not let anything or anyone stand in the way of achieving their audacious goals. They have very strong mental maps of how things should be done, and at the same time a willingness to test those mental maps in the world of reality and change the ways they do things to make them work better. They're extremely resilient because their needs to achieve what they envision is stronger than the pain they experience as they struggle to achieve it. Perhaps most interesting, they have a wider range of vision than most people, either because they have that vision themselves or because they know how to get it from others who can see what they can't. All are able to see both big pictures and granular details and levels in between, and synthesize the perspectives they gain at those different levels, whereas most people see just one or the other. They are simultaneously creative, systematic, and practical. They are assertive and open-minded at the same time. Above all, they are passionate about what they are doing, intolerant of people who work for them who aren't excellent at what they do, and want to have a big beneficial impact on the world. Take Elon Musk. When we had just come out with the Tesla and showed me his car for the first time, he had as much to say about the key fob that opened the doors as he did about his overarching vision for how Tesla fits into the broader future of transportation and how important that is to our planet. Later on, when I asked him how he came to start his company SpaceX, the audacity of his answer startled me. For a long time, he answered, I thought that it's inevitable that something bad is going to happen on a planetary scale, a plague, a meteor, that will require humanity to start over somewhere else, like Mars. One day I went to the NASA website to see what progress they were making on their Mars program, and I realized that they weren't even thinking about going there anytime soon. I'd gotten 180 million when my partners and I sold PayPal, he continued. And it occurred to me that if I spent 90 million and used it to acquire some ICBMs from the former USSR and sent one to Mars, I could inspire the exploration of Mars. When I asked him about his background in rocketry, he told me he didn't have one. I just started reading books, he said. That's how shapers think and act. That is really amazing and wonderful, and I think that could be some food for thought for all of us. What is it that we want to achieve, and where do we fit in? So not all of us are going to want to be shapers. Not all of us are going to want to be the head of anything. So, for example, my partner does not like being in the limelight or being in the spotlight. I, on the other hand, love it. So you have to realize where you are. And I think from an investment point of view, this is where the biggest lesson for us all is. Because when it comes to investing, when it comes to who we are going to be and who we're going to portray ourselves as in the world, we have to understand who we are. If we are more likely to be working for somebody because that's what makes us feel comfortable, then that's what we need to do. There are other people, and that's probably me, who would really struggle to work for other people. And I haven't tested it in a while, so I don't know. But I really would, I think, struggle with it. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. When it comes to investing, again, some people like the limelight, some don't. Some people are going to like stock market. Some people are going to like other things. Some people are not going to understand even though they like the stock market. And you need to find the thing that fits with you. You need to become, I would almost say you have to become the shaper of your own life. You have to find out where you fit in and how you fit in. You need to be determined to achieve your goals in the way that you want to. You have to figure out what it is that you want to achieve. And some people will say, oh, to be successful, you have to be the CEO of a company, or you have to start a company, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. No, what you need to do is you need to figure out what your goal is and be persistent in achieving it, but achieve it in the way that you want to and you feel comfortable achieving it. You might want to get some mentoring and some assistance to push you a little bit beyond your comfort zone. But you do want to achieve it in the way that you feel most comfortable with, because that is the key. That is where you're going to achieve the success. Okay, I am going to have to start signing off. This chapter is quite long, so we're going to finish it there. We'll pick it back up at the bottom of page 96. But that is a great lesson to finish up on. What is it that you want to achieve? how are you able to achieve that goal? So you need that dogged persistence, you need that dogged determination in order to be able to say, okay, I know what it is that I want. And it might be you don't want to have a business, but you want to have a promotion, or you want to do something else. Then make sure that you know exactly what it is that you want, and then start looking for the ways that you feel comfortable that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, because you might need to find a way that you can do it, that you follow somebody else's path who's been there before you. But there might be 5 or 6 different paths. Find which one resonates with you, the one that you think you're going to be successful at, and then follow that path. Okay, so if you enjoy the reading, if you're enjoying Ray Dalio principles, and if you'd like to see the other books that we read, such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki, if you would like to read The Art of Thinking Clearly together with me, you can find all of those on the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is called The Passive Cashflow Club. We'd love to see you there. We also answer questions. So if you have questions, I'll tell you how to ask your questions in just a moment. Anything related to wealth, finance, economics, wealth creation, all of those different things, feel free to ask your questions. For that reason, make sure that you hit subscribe when you're on the YouTube channel, because one of those questions might be something that's relevant to you, and then you'll be notified whenever a new video pops up, and it might be the answer to the question that helps you to get to the next level of what you are doing. And yes, make sure that you ask your questions, because then we might get a notification when your question is answered as well. If you'd like to send a question, or if you'd like to join us for a game of cash flow or online cash flow, which is even more amazing than just the normal cash flow game, I run the club here in Sydney. It is a great way to trick your mind, to change your mindset, to be able to start achieving things in real life. And we're creating courses around it so that you can play the game and also start to understand the principles better. We've got some really good feedback, taking our most amazing players out to lunch recently, and they gave some really amazing ideas for how we can take cash flow and our online version to the next level. So if you'd like to join us for that, and if you'd like to change your mindset, change the way you think, learn the principles in a basic level, and then learn to take the first steps in real life, or if you're already investing, how to make the changes that are going to get you to a whole new level, then make sure that you mention cash flow in the Instagram when you send me a direct message, and I will make sure that my VA sends you the details on how you can come and join us. So reach out on Instagram. You can find me at business_team_6_official. Looking forward to hearing from you, getting to know you, getting your questions, and we'll answer those and put them on the YouTube channel, The Passive Cashflow Club. And then, yes, I look forward to seeing you at a cash flow game soon as well. I'm going to leave you to have an amazing last day of the week. Push a little bit for this last day of the week before the weekend, so that you can still achieve something, and then get some good rest so you can recharge those batteries over the weekend, ready for another week that'll take you closer to your goal, and another week that'll take you to your goal, and another week that'll take you closer to your goal. And that is what we are all striving for. And remember to enjoy the journey, because some people just want to get to the end result and don't enjoy the journey, and that is going to really prevent you from being able to reach your goals. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday for another reading. Remember to make the switch to unlock your rich. If you keep doing everything the same way, then nothing is going to change. So cash flow and the videos that we're going to be putting up and lots of other things are going to help you to make that switch as well. But make sure that you decide that you're going to make that switch, and that is what's going to unlock your rich. I'll see you all on Monday. Thank you so much for joining. I really always appreciate you being here, and I love reading for you and giving you my commentary. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you on Instagram and seeing you at the Passive Cashflow Club, so that I can get to know you a little bit better personally as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you then.
Run,